Socom games have a very long history. I think the franchise is 16 years old this year. It spans across 4 systems, the PS2, PS3, PSP, and from what I could find, 1 mobile game, with the last game being released in 2011. The thing that really set these games apart, especially the console titles, at the time, think early 2000s, was the more tactile playstyle than like a Call of Duty, Brother in Arms, or Medal of Honor games. Those games you could mostly run and gun through. Here you would have to be a little bit more tactical. The awesome, at the time, squad AI and commands you could do definitely set these games apart, as well as the in-game military and SEAL ads were always a bonus to see and something completely unique to the Socom series. Fireteam Bravo is the 4th game in the chronological lineup, and it also follows up with Socom 3, US Navy SEALs for the PS2, which is a great game. It tells the story of you, Sandman, and Lone Star, your AI teammate, as you take on 14 missions across the globe from Chile to Poland. You take on various mission types, from rescuing hostages, disarming bombs, to blowing up supply caches. And just like in the main Socom games, it really pays to look around for those bonus objectives. Socom games were my favorite shooters back in the day, and whenever I get a chance to play them again, be it emulated or on original hardware, I just fall in love all over again. Yes, they haven't aged super well, but they're not that bad comparatively. Going back and play like a PS1 Medal of Honor game, not great at all. There really isn't much story-wise to the game. It's standard with military shooters of the time. You know, you go in, be a badass with your team, and you stop the bad guys, save the day, kick in the door, all that kinds of stuff. This game also supports an online mode like Team Deathmatch and Free-for-All with up to 16 players, and PSP to PSP play, but multiplayer servers were shut down in 2012. There's also 2 sequels, Fireteam Bravo 2 and Fireteam Bravo 3. So the sound mixing in this game for such a little game is awesome. Jennifer Hale is the voice of your operator, giving you the quests and objectives in the game, which is always a win for me. We could always use some more Jennifer Hale as far as I'm concerned. The game has some cutscenes and voice work in there, but you know, it's just bog standard. Most of the voice work, or most of the cutscenes, are used to introduce you to the new area you'll be playing in. Like if you get a cutscene to go play in Chile, you get a cutscene to go play in Poland. Yeah, they're voice acted, I guess. The mixing is well done. It really lives up to the Socom name with the polish. Most times you'll be using suppressed weapons, so you won't hear the full roar of your gun unless you wait till the end of the mission and just go buck wild, or some missions you do get to go unsuppressed, but I would recommend trying to maintain some modicum of stealth. You do hear the AI weapons though. They fire mostly AK-47s and F-90s, which sound pretty much the same but don't sound bad. A big difference between the mobile and main console titles is the aiming system. In Fireteam Bravo, the PSP games, you have to lock on, and in the console games you have your analog sticks to help you aim, and what we're used to, which means unless you're in free look, you don't get to look up or down on the PSP. You have to rely on the lock-on system to shoot enemies below or above you. And though the lock-on system does have like a false bullet spray where, it's kind of simulating that weapons sometimes aren't reliable, or you might shake or something. It's really annoying. And some weapons can be a bit annoying to do it, especially if you're trying to maintain stealth and you take a sniper rifle and you only have so many shots and it keeps missing and missing and missing, and then you got to pick up an enemy's weapon that's unsuppressed. It's just, it's just a nightmare sometimes. And unless you're free aiming, there's no headshots. Which is not bad, because most of the times you are faster than the AI, but if they gang up on you, you will die very quickly. And some enemies, especially later on in the story, I found become complete bullet sponges. I don't know if it's the game not being balanced right with the weapons. It's just, it was a struggle to get through some of the areas. You have the standard Socom loadout in your weapons. You have assault rifles, machine guns, sniper rifles, you also get different kinds of ballistics and grenades and explosive attachments, or different kinds of attachments to almost all of your weapons. You also get a sidearm as well. Think Ghost Recon Wildlands, how in-depth that customization is, but put it back into like early 2000s and you got pretty much what Socom weapon customization was. It was extensive, but not as extensive as Wildlands. Your AI teammate is very effective. Lone Star kills it most of the time. He is used for a lot of the diffusing and interacting, and most of the times I would just send him to breach and clear doors. Like, he can do it, and yes, his health does go down, and if he dies, the mission obviously fails, but he's like a one-man army. He can do all the heavy lifting while I go and search out for all the information we need. Environments are varied, taking you from the deserts and favelas of Chile to snowy factories in Poland. You never go back to the same place, and the maps aren't reused. But in turn for that, some areas are not as detailed, and there's often some low draw distance, especially in some of the bigger maps. Some maps are expansive and have clusters of buildings together, while other maps are tight and confined, especially when you go to the favelas in Chile. Tight and confined and good for a lot of close quarters combat. Character models look like humans, you know what I could say, and they're about as detailed as I've seen on a PSP shooter. In saying that, the game is more focused on gameplay than being beautiful. It's not that it's ugly, it's just you can tell where the time went in. This is not a run and gun style game, though that was never really Socom's style to be a run and gun game. You want a run and gun game? Go play Call of Duty, go play Brother in Arms, go play Medal of Honor. While you're faster than your enemy AI, they can gang up and kill you in a hurry. Or you can blow your cover, and sometimes that automatically fails the mission. Or it changes the mission in some way. That always stood out about the Socom games, that they were always way more tactical than their military FPS brothers. With many people calling it the best shooter on PSP, Socom Fireteam Bravo, this game, was a blast to play. It's still an easy to find game in both in physical and emulation realms, and with the added benefit, if you do emulate it, at your own risk of course, there are online servers that people have running that you could do multiplayer, the deathmatch and all that if you really wanted to. It's a strong shooter, it works well, I didn't have any game-breaking issues, and I had fun playing the entire thing, although I did get stuck a little bit with some hard parts. That there's one mission where you have to rescue this guy and then follow him. The game wants you to turn this into a run and gun shooter, but you at that point probably don't have enough ammo, and the guns you pick up aren't full when you pick them up, so that was a little bit of a pain right there to try to figure out how to do that mission without A, dying 600 times, and B, losing my mind and getting angry. Jennifer Hale, of course, lends her voice to this, which is always a win for me. I adore that woman. You also have 5 different characters you can unlock and 3 weapons you can unlock if you've played Socom 3 and sync it to your PSP. The game got pretty good scores across the board, with 82 with critics and about a 8.6 or 70%, whatever, with users on Metacritic. You know, I just like to bring up stats sometimes because a lot of people love the stats. It's definitely worth picking up if you have the hardware. It's a good length, about almost 7 hours, with varied missions, fun locations, and fun gunplay. I would recommend it. I would recommend probably any Socom game you could get your hands on. They hold up well, not super well, but they still hold up. They play well. They look great sometimes. Depends if you're emulating or not and playing on original hardware. I just recommend the Socom series in general.